Good morning, lovely people, and welcome to another riveting episode of Bold TV. Today is an awesome day, and I would like to say welcome to this awesome day with us. Today's topic is gratitude and entitlement and its impact on disability. Before we start, I'd like to say if this program is sponsored by Bold Heart Network, but if you would like to join and help us sponsor or you want to join in, you can either contact me, Abiose, Freki, Afyong, Tommy Singh, or Osaki for that. So, as let's start today's program. But before we start, as usual, I'd like my lovely ladies to please introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. Pleasant day to you all. My name is Freki Andresian. I'm based in Port Harcourt in Rivers State. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Member of Bold Heart Network, member of Faker Foundation, public health professional. Thank you.
My name is Grace Oge Onoha. I'm a network marketing professional, a coach on mindset and skill sets. I connect people to opportunities that are beneficial to their health and wellness, and they can also earn extra income. I am an amputee and I'm resident in Port Harcourt.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back here. My name is Afyong Etim. I'm a medical lab scientist based in Uyo. I use a wheelchair, spinal cord injury survivor, member of Bold Heart Network.
My name is Abiose Falade. I'm the executive director, Angel Wings Global Freedom Foundation. I am also a writer and author. I have written a book, Mimi the Warrior Girl. Thank you. Welcome. So let's get to the program of the day. So today's topic is gratitude and entitlement as an impact on disability. So I'd like us to break down the two words, gratitude and entitlement. So Afyong, I would like you to please define gratitude and give us examples of the word, of things that will explain what gratitude is.
Okay, gratitude. Gratitude is the act of being thankful, appreciating what one has, appreciating the good, and it often has to do with intention. It has to be an intentional act, choosing to acknowledge what is good, what is working, what the positive, even though other negative occurrences may be happening. So gratitude is an intentional act of acknowledging what is good and what is desirable in the life of an individual.
All right. So, with respect to the word gratitude or the act gratitude, I will just ride on what Afyong said. First of all, it's an act, meaning that it's something that is done. Gratitude is the act of showing appreciation for something done or said to you as a person. And it is or can be reciprocated with an act of kindness on your own part. So it is acknowledging or appreciating something being done for you or said to you, and can be validated or appreciated through an act of kindness. Thanks. For example, somebody opens the door for you. A way to acknowledge that act would be by using one of the magical words we thought while we're growing up, and that is thank you. So thank you is one beautiful way of acknowledging or showing appreciation or gratitude for something done for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, please, what is the meaning of entitlement? And please give us an example of entitlement.
Okay, for me, I think that entitlement is a possessive mentality. That kind of mentality that you think that you are supposed to have something. It's your right. You understand? A lot of people have this kind of entitlement mentality, and because of that, they think that things are supposed to be given to them, or as in they're entitled to it, and it makes them to be overly dependent on, let's say, the family or the society or the government. Yes. So for instance, where do I start from? I want to relate it to something that has to do with disability. Okay, on December 3rd, I know a lot of people will go to the government house and asking for, funds and asking for stipends. That is their right. They are entitled to it. That's their day and all of that. So it's like an entitlement mentality. But for me, I don't see that as an entitlement. I don't see that dependency, depending on the government or the society for because I'm someone with disability. No, I see disability as an opportunity. I see disability as despite the fact that you have a disability, doesn't mean that you are disabled. So you should be grateful. You should appreciate whatever is given to you, but don't have a possessive mentality that it has to be yours because of your condition at the moment. So that's what I think entitlement is a possessive attitude that stops you from doing things for yourself. You are dependent on others. Yes.
Thank you, Oge, for that wonderful statement. Osaki came in. Please, Osaki, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Good day. I'm Osaki Teresa George. I reside in Port Harcourt, polio survivor, a trainer in marketing applications. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So, since you are now here, Osaki, I'll now put to you, what is entitlement? What do you feel entitlement is? And what can we do? What are the examples of entitlement? What are the examples? Yes.
Thank you. Entitlement sounds like the opposite of gratitude. It's a belief, a right to own something, either by law or by custom. You just feel that because I'm a female child, that I should be able to take care of the kitchen. Everything concerning the kitchen is your assignment. Or a lady with a disability, that everybody should attend to your need because you have a disability, without even you trying to make effort to help yourself or assist yourself, or even ask for their help. Not just assume that they should do it for you. Thank you.
Okay, so I've listened to Oge talk about that possessive aspect of entitlement, and then heard Osaki speak to it as someone's right. I think that I want to draw a demarcation because there is a positive aspect and a negative aspect of entitlement, and it seems we're a bit focused on the negative aspect. So I just wanted to say that for me, entitlement can be two things. The first one is, for example, a person is entitled to her salary at the end of the working period, let's say 1 month. It's her entitlement. It is what is expected by the fact that she's carrying out that job. What was agreed on by reason of her employment. So if that person is entitled to her salary or his salary at the end of the month, and it's the right of that person to demand for that pay when it is delayed or it is extra, without any due communication when it is denied. So that aspect of entitlement or that I wanted to bring out is not wrong in understanding what a person is entitled to and then making a demand for it as the need comes up. So I just wanted to bring that aspect of entitlement. The other one is, where Oge and Osaki bordered on, where they spoke about that approach where a person believes that something is due the person because of certain condition. In our case, we're speaking to being a woman or being a woman with disability, an assumption, a belief when it may not necessarily be accrued that person.
Thank you, Freki, for giving us the flip side of entitlement. It's a very important thing that we have both sides of the coin being placed on the table. Thank you very much for that. Please, can you So, can Afyon please tell us the importance and the impact that gratitude has on a young woman with disability?
Like you said before, gratitude is an act. It is something that you do. And I did mention that gratitude has to be intentional, because sometimes it's the negative can be overwhelming, and most times, clouds our judgment and, our vision, and helps us, sometimes we fail to see the positive in the midst of all that. So gratitude helps you to stay focused, on what is positive. It helps you to stay focused on that which, will help you to think better. Because when you're focused on the negative, fear comes in. You're afraid of the what ifs. What if this does not work? What if this happens? What if this, that? So things that may never actually come to pass, you tend to focus on that, and then you fail to appreciate where you are in the present. So gratitude helps you focus on the present and helps you to, enjoy the opportunities you have in the present, while you can, with that, you can then start thinking of the future. But if you're not grateful, especially for a person with disability, there are so many reasons to complain, so many reasons to feel bad. But if you choose to focus, at least find one or two things you can be thankful for, one or two things you can appreciate, it makes it possible for you to be able to say, oh, if today is like this, if there's a possibility that tomorrow will be better. It makes you see the future through the lens of possibilities, rather than seeing it through the lens of fear and, impossibility. So gratitude helps you, especially for persons or women with disabilities, to be able to enjoy the present and also look at the future, with possibility, seeing it as, with possibilities. So gratitude will help you to focus, narrows your perspective, and helps you not, rather than, focus on things that you cannot control, helps you focus on the things, see what you can do, what you can control, focus on that and work towards it, and it helps you make progress.
Thanks. So the importance of gratitude for a young woman with disability, a woman with disability, for me, it would be that it would reduce the impact of regrets from past. Every experience we have, good or bad, kind of impacts who we currently are. If we look at past experiences through the lens of gratitude, we would tend to reduce regret and begin to see, no matter how tiny the silver lining is, we'll look for it and find it. For example, a bad experience happened, we know it's a bad experience, and then we look back on it trying to look for what would be the lesson inside so that I don't repeat it. That approach to life, I think gratitude as an approach to life really helps us to also deal with depression, because it's easy for things to overwhelm, circumstances to overwhelm. And I like how Afyong said that you have to be intentional about gratitude, because sometimes you need to actually look for it, and it can be found in the little things. It can help with feelings of depression, feelings of being weighed down. You begin to count your blessings, as it were, to see, where is it good, as opposed to the obvious where it is bad. Someone said that there's a story about a young man who was very particular about wanting a pair of shoes and was very upset that he couldn't get, those pair of shoes. And his mother helped him to put in perspective when she took him to a man who actually had no shoes to be worried about. He had no legs to be worried about shoes. And then all of a sudden she told him, thank God for the legs you have, and appreciate the slippers that you have to put on the legs. So it's a matter of perspective. Gratitude helps you to put things and life in perspective. So in a nutshell, I've said three things. I'll reiterate. It helps you to look back at past experiences that may be otherwise bad and find something about it that is good to learn from it. It helps you to put things in perspective, to put life, to put situations in perspective. Finally, it helps you to handle negative emotion and depression by intentionally seeking out the blessings and the positive things, no matter how small. Thank you.
So now that we have dealt with gratitude, so Osaki, what are the negative or positive impact of entitlement that can be, and what are they, and how do they affect women with disability?
All right, thank you. Okay, let me talk on negative area of entitlement to a woman with disability. Like what Oge rightly say, over dependent. When you have this feeling of entitlement, like in universities, they might say, okay, we'll give like maybe two slot of percentage for persons with disabilities if they are qualified, like you have your necessary papers, like your 5 O level and your JAM score, it's okay. Because of the population and the crowd or whatever that might not allow that person with disability to compete, that 2% will cover off if you have the qualification. And now most of us just feel that, after all, I want to go to school. Now that I want to go, so even when you don't have that papers ready, you just feel that automatically they should include your name in the admission list, which is not going to be done. And that could create anger, anger, regret, violence. You want, nothing makes sense to you. You want to isolate yourself from the public. And again, it's the entitlement thing does not, it does not distinguish between your need and your wants. There are things that might come your way. Of course, you might have that entitlement, but at that point, you don't even need it. So it's easier for you to give it out to somebody. But you just have to, I'm entitled to it, you will collect it. For example, there could be scholarship going on for people, children or persons with disability, and they say they need people in university. You're done with universities. I remember this thing happened some years back. You're done with universities. Just because you feel you are with a disability and somehow you can maneuver your way, put your name there, and you get that money. Meanwhile, there are people that are still in school living with disability that might not have the opportunity, which you would have just moved your name, and it will help them, assist them get that scholarship. So that it brings out that greed area in humanity. So that's part of the negative impacts, I'll say, when it comes to entitlement for a lady with disability.
I will speak on the negative side of entitlement, because most people, they always want to take advantage of the fact that they are entitled to something. So, and most times, just like Osaki was saying, because they know that that thing is in their field, in their best advantage, they can easily access it. They may not be open to others. They may not share the opportunities to others. And also, some will even bully others, will abuse others just because they have a greater access. They can penetrate. You understand? Some will use people. I've seen in some disability groups, let's say the government is giving out funds or loans, or even grants, because some people feel they're at the top hem of affairs. They'll intimidate others who should also have access to that. Probably they'll ask you to pay so amount of money for you to get that same thing, which is supposed to be free. And worst case is, most of the people who pay may not even get access to that. They will eat the money, you understand, and all that. So someone who always has that possessive mentality, I'm entitled to this, it could also make the person greedy, you understand, and it could also close doors, because when you are using entitlement negative, you're not going to have friends, you're not going to build healthy relationships, people cannot even trust you, you're going to have integrity issues, you understand, and things will not be going on well with you, because people around you will be avoiding you, they'll be saying all sorts about you, and you know you're doing the wrong thing. So it's not good. Apart from the fact that you have access to something, you may also be hoarding it or preventing others to have access or giving them very strong criteria that they need to meet. And even if they meet that criteria, there's likelihood that you don't give them that which they are supposed to have. So it's bad. Entitlement, that's why I don't like when someone says I'm entitled to someone. I really don't like it. And that's why I don't even like thinking about the positive aspect of entitlement, because it makes me to look too dependent. You understand? So that's what I see, the disadvantage of entitlement. I've had issues with a lot of people that have that kind of entitlement mentality.
Okay, I know we've said a lot of things about how entitlement is negative, but in order to create a balance for persons with disabilities, entitlement cannot be entirely ruled out, because number one, more often than not, we are excluded. Not because we don't deserve those things, not because we are not qualified for it. More often than not, we are persons with disability are excluded, on the same basis of this disability, that makes other people feel entitled. That same reason makes society tend to exclude us based on their own preconceived notions of what disability, the abilities we have or don't have. So on the positive side, entitlement makes, when it comes to entitlement, knowing your rights as given to you by law, as assigned to you by law, is something that every person with disability should know. That's the positive. You are entitled to what the law assigns to you. For example, the Prohibition Act against discrimination against persons with disabilities. Every person with disability needs to have those the statutes entrenched in those laws at their fingertips. That is your entitlement. The law says that is your right. Being an entitlement equals having a right, moral or legal right to something. And when it comes to that law, every person with disability has a legal right to access the provisions within that law. So in that regard, as a person with disability, you should know what you are entitled to. Because if everybody sees it from a negative angle, that means you won't even bother to find out what is it that is rightfully mine, that I can actually pursue and insist on. Because you will feel so that they will not say that I'm claiming this thing. No, whatever is entrenched in the law is your right, and you should insist on it and claim it wherever you are. So that is the positive aspect. There has to be a balance. In as much as entitlement, when it comes to relationships, how you relate with people and certain things you ask for, you should also know the things that this is my right. For example, you go to apply for a job. What Saki talked about, feeling entitled, because they said there's a proportion kept aside for persons with disabilities. So when I go there, they should give it to me just because I have a disability. But there are times when you are qualified, you have the necessary requirements, the documentation, and then you go there and present it and ask for a job. And you are told, even when there is a vacancy and you know that that position has not been filled, you are told you cannot take up that position. Why? Because you have a disability, because they feel you will not be able to cope with the demands of that job without even being given a chance to prove yourself. So in such situations, knowing full well that you have the right to gainful employment if you are qualified and are capable of carrying out whatever is assigned to you, then you should insist. That is your entitlement.
Thank you, Afyong, for that positive sides of entitlement. The second to last question, what is the impact of entitlement on persons with disability and the disability rights movement? And I'd like Freki to please answer this question.
So with respect to that question, Afyong has touched on it, and I was coming to it very strongly, because when we consider entitlement, the first thing that comes to our minds is persons with disabilities demanding on certain things, sometimes within their rights, sometimes absurd, sometimes emotional, etc., etc. Within the disability rights movement, the truth remains that insistence on one's rights has never been a popular thing. The normal approach to life of human beings is class, is tiers. They feel that somebody needs to be up, somebody needs to be down. By reason of positioning and vulnerability, persons with disabilities tend to be or are described as vulnerable in society. Understanding one's rights within the provisions helps a person with disability insists when being treated unfairly, when access is denied, and the person is treated on an equal basis with others. Entitlement within the disability rights movement has positive and a negative impact. The positive impact would be, first of all, understanding rights, demanding for rights. And when I mean understanding, I mean understanding what the rights are, what the provisions of a law are, and what is set to ensure that the provisions are done is very important. I'll give an example. Where it has been said that 5% of employment should be accrued to persons with disabilities is a valid law. But that law states when there is an opportunity for employment. I've had persons with disabilities just walk into any company and insist 5% be employed, whether the person is employing or not. So understanding the rights, understanding the law helps you to demand knowledgeably so that somebody does not confuse you about what it is that your right is, because people want to twist and not twist. The negative aspect of or impact of entitlement when it comes to the disability rights movement, and it has affected advocacy, is when rights are not understood and then the demands become really absurd. Let me tell you the truth. The average person would actually rather not deal with an angry and an unreasonable person with disability. The person would dodge you. So advocacy is negatively impacted when entitlement is not handled properly.
Thank you very much.
Gratitude and entitlement can never be confused for each other. One cannot be taken for the other. They are two separate entities. The only way they are linked is in how one influences the other. For example, a person who has an attitude of gratitude will never feel entitled to that which has not been assigned to them. For example, if I see, maybe I will, as a person with disability, I will not think that being helped, getting help, maybe from a stranger, maybe I need help accessing a certain area is my entitlement just because I use a wheelchair. If I'm a person that has an attitude of gratitude, I will see that that person is taking time out and choosing to help me. And immediately I will ask for help. I will not assume, because entitlement will assume that that person should help me without me asking. And I get upset when that doesn't happen. But if I don't have if I have a gratitude mentality, I will know that if the person offers before I ask, that is not because I deserve it, but it's because that person has chosen to do so. And I will be grateful and show appreciation for it. But if I have an entitled mentality, I will assume that I deserve to get help, whether I ask for it or not. Don't they see I'm on a wheelchair? Can't they help me? Don't they know I need help? That is an attitude of entitlement. So it is how they influence each other. If you're a person who sees the positive and focuses, appreciates the little things, you will never have an entitled mentality. But if you're a person who has an entitled mentality, being grateful it will not come easily to you, because you will assume it is your right, whether it is so or not. That is where I see the connection.
And you're right. And I needed to not let this topic end as it was about to end without this very serious connection, because we had the conversation, valid conversations, without that interconnectivity. And it is very strong in our community, where people assume that the world owes them heaven and earth. Family owes you, this one owes you. Meanwhile, everybody has their hustle. Persons with disabilities have become so complacent. You don't want to do anything, but at the end, can't they see I'm trying? It doesn't work that way. So this must, I don't want to go around or anyhow, but we must draw that connectivity, because I've seen people deny themselves of opportunities because they felt that the opportunity should come to their bedroom because they are a person with disability. We had that program, in Fake Care, Hope Again initiative, where we empower women with disabilities. I saw this play out in an amazing way. You saw women who were saying, help me, help me. We now say, okay, one of the ways you will be helped is when you go through the scheme, this vocational skills training. And then because our mentors were following them up and coaches, one of the key reports was that some of these ladies were not now going for the training because they were like, it was one excuse on the other. We had to put our foot down. In fact, it got so bad that one of the ladies who was learning, she will be in the class, she needs attention, she will not call, raise hand, and ask question. She'll be assumed that the woman knows, the woman should come to me. I told her, foul, not in this class of how many persons. You need attention, you raise your hand, and you ask your question like a student. You don't sit at the back and now start murmuring how nobody's paying attention to me, nobody's answering me. And thank God she listened, because she now began to learn. What was happening was that she was not learning because she was just sitting at the back and expecting that she will now have special attention. That after the lecture, they're not going to lecture her extra because she's a PWD. So I'm just glad that this has come out, that you do not confuse entitlement. Don't confuse the fact that somebody does something for you and then you assume that it's your right when the person does it out of their own kind heart. Always remember that not all disabilities are visible. That we can see your wheelchair does not mean that that person does not have his own issues to deal with. So I think consideration also comes in as PWDs. Even when we want to exercise our rights, we should learn the balance.
Gratitude, we all know is Thanksgiving. It's something that you do, as you have to think about it. Like I had an experience today. Uh, I went for a training, and the people organizing it, when they saw me that I was driving, they came, madam, welcome, blah, blah, So, and I was struggling to carry my things with my crutches to the venue. So, and then they were just excited I came. They didn't even know that I need help. So I just said, okay, please, assist me and carry my stuff. So this other kid assist me. And immediately he assisted me. And a way of just saying like, thank you, I appreciate it, And I told him take with a smile. And he was happy and he smiled too. And coming back to the same thing happened, and it was easy to assist me. So that's the experience I had today when it comes to gratitude. It shows more concern and who wants to be with you, and you'll be happy and there's fulfillment.
Gratitude. Gratitude has helped me to move forward in life. You see, I know that I should have died on the 26th of December 2002 when I had this accident. So every day I'm grateful for a second chance at life. And what it does is that it helps me to put in perspective that I am needed on this earth at this time. So it will be very hard for somebody to come and make me feel like a second-rate citizen when I know that the Father of light, God in heaven, saw me worthy to still be alive after the 26th of December. That is what gratitude and being thankful has helped me to do. It has helped me to understand that my life is for a reason, is for a purpose, and based on that, I am not ashamed, I'm not apologetic about living it to the fullest.
Gratitude helps me to encourage others that there is hope. So I tell people, on this bed I am making money, and it looks abnormal. And when they try it, they see it's very, very possible. So it helps me to unravel impossibilities and make it possible for others.
Gratitude is like an anchor, keeps me grounded. When things happen every day, there's something, that would want to make me pull my hair out and, just like, why? But instead of crying why, I stop and ask myself, You know, when I feel pain, I ask myself, I'm grateful that I actually feel pain, which tells me that something is going on somewhere that needs my attention. So it keeps me focused, keeps me grounded so that I don't lose it and, you know, cry and feel sorry for myself. So instead, I stop and ask, what do I need to do? And then, you know, no matter what happens, I have learned that there's always a silver lining. There's always something to be grateful for, no matter how bad that situation is. So gratitude keeps me grounded, helps me focus on what is important rather than being swayed by every wind of change that comes. It keeps me grounded, helps me focus on what is important.
Thank you very much. It is now my turn to tell you what gratitude has done for me. So, like Frecky said in the beginning of hers, that she knows she should have died. The same goes for me. At the age of 6 months, not only dead, I should be brain dead. That is the truth of the matter. But I survived the Zika virus. I survived many other diseases that happen to young babies. I survived being in a coma for 3 months. I survived being brain dead. To be here today to do the will of God, I'm utterly grateful for that. I'm utterly grateful that God chose me to show the world how wonderful and awesome He is. And I say it consistently every single day that nothing can stop me from doing the work of God. No human can stop me. I am here to work for God and I will always do it. And I'm glad and I'm also grateful that I've found these amazing women to work with. My last words for today would be that let's be more grateful than being entitled.
My last words will be, there are no negatives to gratitude. There are no negatives. You can only win when it comes to gratitude. Never assume that you have a right to what someone else has. Never assume you have a right to what you want someone else to do for you. You can only ask and hope that they will do it. And if they don't, it doesn't change anything. Stay grateful that you are still here. And that means you are more capable than you think you are.
My last word is anger and violence does not solve entitlement. Being grateful is healing and brings the joy in you. Thank you.
So today has been a very riveting and entertaining, that's the word I was looking for, entertaining episode. And I'm sure all of you will gain one or two things from this emotional yet educative episode. So I'd like to say thank you, Frecky. Thank you, Afyong. Thank you, Osaki. And thank you, Oge, although she's gone, for coming to discuss this very important topic as it affects young persons and older persons with disability in our community. So, ladies, I would like us to unmute ourselves and say our bye-byes. Bye-bye. But before we go, I would like to say that Bold TV is sponsored by Bohart Network. And if you would like to sponsor or join us, you can contact either me, Abiose, Freki, Osaki, Afyong, or Tommy Singh. We will answer all your questions and every other thing. So, but again, and as I always like to say, always remain blessed, always remain grateful. So, ladies, let us say our bye-bye.